Caitlin Clark is participating in shoot-around this morning, going through warm-ups, then some non-contact drills with the second team. She hasn't officially returned to practice, I'm told, but this is her first time working with the team since her injury.
Caitlin Clark is back on the floor, and the WNBA is shaking. Supporters are questioning whether the Indiana Fever star guard's return to practice after missing weeks due to a groin injury will have an impact. Is her return premature, or is it necessary for the Fever? It is obvious that the league is unprepared for this comeback. Should Clark wait until she is completely recovered before attempting a comeback this season? The scene is this. Caitlin Clark returned to the court after being absent for weeks because of a groin injury. The WNBA immediately went crazy. This response is not a result of a lack of expectation, but rather of the general recognition that the league currently depends on her celebrity. Every highlight video, TV rating, and ticket sale bears Caitlin Clark's fingerprints. And even if she is only partially healthy, her return to the mix changes the Indiana Fever's entire postseason outlook. The result was that the panic button just smashed. Let's be truthful. Throughout the WNBA, the news of Clark's passing was practically printed in large letters. Indiana is where it's cooked. She was missing a lot of the games. She missed class because of a groin issue. Moreover, the wounds do not heal immediately. After losing Ari McDonald, Sophie Cunningham, and Sydney Carlson, the Fever, who were already held together by duct tape, seemed more like a survival team than a postseason contender. Furthermore, without Clark's shooting, vision, and ability to draw three defenders on every possession, they were effectively carrying out an offense that belonged in a YMCA scrimmage. It's not even sarcastic. That's how bad it got. However, videos of Fever practice have started to surface this week. Caitlin can be seen jogging, shooting, passing, and running through warm-ups. They are close enough that everyone is asking the same question, even though they haven't gone back to full contact drills yet. When is she going to dress in her suit? Fans instantly went crazy over her return and the league, flooding comment sections with memes, predictions, and full-blown panic attacks. Since they can't afford to lose this player, who is essential to keeping people's attention on the product, they were probably biting their fingernails.
It is a good sign. So let's check this out. This is the schedule. 6 p.m. tonight, the Lynx. Yikes. All right. Guys, we're in must-win territory right now. For the playoffs, we are in must-win. The Storm, got to be Tuesday night. I don't think so on this either. However, 4 days later, basically 6 days from now, against the Sparks, and this is a big game.
But here's the worst part. Should she even make a comeback this season? That's why the argument is blowing up. Others in the shutterdown camp argue that a quick playoff run is not nearly as important as Clark's health. As groin issues continue, the last thing Indiana or the league needs is Clark attempting to lead a fractured roster over the past few weeks. But let's be honest, you have fewer fans, and the WNBA marketing team is screaming that the season is useless without her. In addition to reviving the Fever, they want her back to keep the arenas full and the cameras rolling.
Good sign. It is. I mean, seeing her out there, little passing the ball around, doing some calisthenics, getting the juices flowing. I know a lot of you are like, why come back? Why come back? Well, look, if she's back and she can get in the flow and she does need to come back, I think with several games to go to get back and try to find her first rhythm for the year. Really and truly, getting a good, then yeah, they become very dangerous with a big three.
The consequences, not just her health, are the source of the anxiety. Let's say Clark makes a comeback the following week for one of those pivotal games against the Sparks. That instantly changes the Fever's chances of sneaking into the playoffs. And what? Sparks and the Valkyries are in the same race. Although the league may seem unconcerned on paper, they are actually afraid that a Clark-led frenzy during the playoffs will lead to more drama, more viewers, and more money. That's the reality. Clark is crucial to the WNBA during the postseason. For a while. I should care because it's another Liberty versus Aces season without her, and there are fans outside of New York.
Because the Sparks are right there with us on in the playoff race, and they hold tiebreakers. By the way, so do the Valkyrie. All right, we do have one win. I believe it's one win over the Mercury. And then we've got a Sky team that we should beat, a Mystics team that we should beat, but you can't. I mean, who knows? I think they beat us in the last game. And then we close out the regular season with the Lynx. We're not making the playoffs without Caitlin Clark. There. Yeah, I said it. We're not making the playoffs without Caitlin.
Now, let's talk about Indiana's role in this mess. Numerous unpleasant facts came to light after Caitlin Clark left. Aaliyah Boston hasn't been as dominant without her, to start. As we have said, no one gives Boston better looks than Clark. Furthermore, without that partnership, Boston seems to be a shadow of the player who is being hailed as a possible MVP. Defenders aren't concerned despite her continued occasional posting of numbers. Second, Kelsey Mitchell has been putting in a lot of effort to help score. But even her best nights feel wasted without floor space, rhythm, and Clark to distract. This is why fans of the Fever were wearing Kelsey MVP shirts. They are in desperate need of anything to make them feel as though the season isn't going by. But here's where it gets complicated. Clark's presence does more than just right the wrong. It exposes all of her rivals who have been speaking falsely while she is away. Now practically allergic to Clark's presence, Minnesota coach Cheryl Reeve has to deal with her again. For other players who have been critiquing the Fever on social media without Caitlin, it might be unfortunate. The Fever is dangerous when Clark is on the court, regardless of your opinion of her errors or rookie challenges. The league is panicking for reasons other than her health. It's about recognizing that easy nights against a mediocre Indiana team are finally over. In relation to fear, we must not ignore the referees. Yes, those are the same WNBA officials who have been under fire this season for permitting Clark to be hit like she was in a boxing match. Do you think they are happy that she came home? Please. When she comes back to the court, everyone's eyes are on them. If she is seriously fouled, the wrath comes instantly. If they miss calls, social media is inundated with videos in a matter of seconds. The league understands that keeping Clark healthy isn't the only way to keep her safe. The objective is to protect the one player that WNBA fans are currently keeping an eye on. The referees, who have already demonstrated that they are incompetent half the time, are also under pressure to suddenly become competent. I hope that endeavor goes well for you. Let's stand back and talk about Clark's thinking because, to be honest, this is where the story gets interesting. Caitlin isn't wired to stay out if she believes she can contribute. This is the same athlete who won every March for Iowa, who never backs down from a challenge, and who thrives under ridiculously high pressure. If she believes she can play, she will insist on playing. Every source claims that she is already getting upset as she watches her team lose games and struggle in the second half like it's their part-time job. She wants to be outside. Will the league step in and quietly put pressure on Indiana to protect their valuable asset from her, or will the Fever medical staff allow her to do so? It's a disaster, really, and funny when you think about it. No one outside of their fan base knows when other celebrities miss games. But when Caitlin Clark touches a basketball during warm-ups, the league shudders. Therefore, the statement that the WNBA is in a panic is hardly an exaggeration. It's the reality of how dependent the product has become on her presence. This is the truth. If she comes back and plays well, even at 80%, she could totally alter the playoff situation. If she doesn't, the Fever are pretty much doomed, and the WNBA knows that the spotlight quickly wanes without her. Now, let's look at this comeback's actual significance. First, the Fever. Right now, Indiana's hopes of qualifying for the playoffs are in doubt. The rotation has been patched up with rookies, hardship players, and anybody else they can find on the street. Isn't even exaggerated. It wouldn't surprise fans if the Fever held open tryouts at the YMCA right now. Without Caitlin Clark at the forefront of the attack, this team has been coughing up leads and giving games away in the third quarter, like free samples at Costco. Though it doesn't miraculously cure everything, Caitlin's return to practice gives the Fever a pulse. Even her presence on the court completely changes the dynamic. Space opens up and defenses shift. Aaliyah Boston can finally relax because she isn't triple-teamed on every possession. Kelsey Mitchell is suddenly excused from playing superhero for 40 minutes. Even when she isn't traveling at her fastest speed, Clark's gravity instantly makes the Caitlin Clark's return is sending shockwaves through the WNBA. Teams like the Sparks and Valkyries are panicking because they know what she brings. Logo threes, high energy, and massive fan attention. Without her, the Fever have struggled, and the league has lost some momentum. Now, with rumors of her comeback, social media is buzzing. Every play is under the spotlight, and the playoff race is heating up. Her presence boosts ticket sales, TV ratings, and league visibility. Critics who once downplayed her impact are suddenly serious, knowing how hard it'll be to win with her back. The risk is real. Coming back too soon could worsen her injury, but her competitive nature makes a return likely. Whether you're a fan or not, you're watching, and that's the power she holds. If she plays and dominates, the narrative shifts, the Fever come alive, and the league gets the attention it's been missing.